The tension in the courtyard reached its breaking point as William Thornfield waited for the group's response. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him as he realized that his moment of thoughtless humor had escalated into something far beyond his control. The approaching security guards were now close enough that their radio chatter was audible, and William's window for whatever he had planned was rapidly closing. Against his friend's whispered protests, Marcus made his decision. "Fine," he said, his voice barely steady. "We'll come with you. But I want you to know that I genuinely didn't mean any disrespect. I was just trying to lighten the mood in this heat." His attempt at explanation seemed to fall on deaf ears as William's expression remained unchanged. The guard turned without another word and began leading them toward one of the castle's stone passages. The friends followed reluctantly, staying close together as they left the relative safety of the crowded courtyard. Other tourists watched them go with a mixture of curiosity and concern, unsure whether they were witnessing a unique historical experience or something more troubling. The passage William led them through was one of the castle's original medieval corridors, with thick stone walls that blocked out most of the summer heat, but also created an oppressive atmosphere. Electric lights mounted discreetly in the ancient stone provided minimal illumination, casting strange shadows that seemed to dance with each step they took. "Where exactly are we going?" Sarah asked, her voice echoing off the stone walls. She had positioned herself near the back of the group, hoping to keep an escape route open if the situation deteriorated further. Her question was met with silence from William, who continued walking with determined steps deeper into the castle's interior. After several minutes of walking through increasingly narrow passages, William stopped in front of a heavy wooden door bound with iron. Above it hung a sign reading, "Staff Only, Authorized Personnel," in both English and several other languages. Without hesitation, William produced a large, old-fashioned key from beneath his costume and unlocked the door. The room beyond was unlike anything the friends had expected. Instead of a dungeon or storage area, they found themselves in what appeared to be a meticulously organized historical research room. The walls were lined with books about medieval history, authentic artifacts in display cases, and detailed drawings of castle life from various time periods. William's entire demeanor changed the moment they entered the room. The anger that had burned in his eyes was replaced by something else, a deep sadness mixed with passionate dedication. He carefully removed his helmet and set it on a wooden stand designed specifically for that purpose, then turned to face the group. "This is where the real work happens," he said quietly, his voice no longer carrying the threatening tone it had held in the courtyard. "This is where I spend my evenings and weekends researching, learning, making sure that every detail of what I present to visitors is historically accurate." Marcus looked around the room in amazement. Books written in multiple languages covered topics ranging from medieval metallurgy to castle construction techniques. Hand-drawn maps showed the evolution of Warwick Castle through different historical periods. A workbench held partially completed replicas of medieval tools, each crafted with painstaking attention to detail. "I've been working here for 8 years, William continued, picking up a leather-bound journal filled with his handwritten notes. "Before that, I spent 4 years studying medieval history at Oxford. This isn't just a summer job for me, it's my life's work. When visitors come here, I'm not just reciting memorized speeches. I'm sharing knowledge that I've spent decades acquiring." Jake felt a growing sense of shame as he realized the depth of William's commitment to his work. What had seemed like a harmless prank against a costumed employee was actually an attack on someone's professional identity and life's passion. The room around them was evidence of a dedication that none of them had imagined. William opened one of the display cases and carefully removed a piece of authentic medieval chainmail. "This belonged to a guard who worked at this castle over 600 years ago," he said, holding it with obvious reverence. Every day, I wear a reproduction of this armor not because it's required by my job, but because it helps me connect with the history I'm trying to preserve. Emma wiped away tears that had been forming since the confrontation began. "We had no idea," she whispered. "I'm so sorry we interrupted your presentation. I could tell you really knew what you were talking about, and I was enjoying learning from you." For the first time since the incident began, William's expression softened slightly. "That's all I want," he said. "I want people to understand that history isn't just dates and battles in textbooks. It's real people who lived real lives in this place. When someone treats me like a joke, they're treating all of those historical figures like jokes too." David stepped forward, his psychology training helping him understand the deeper issues at play. "You're right to be upset," he said carefully. "Marcus's action wasn't just disrespectful to you personally. It showed disrespect for the entire historical experience you worked so hard to create." William nodded, seeming relieved that someone understood. "Exactly. When children see adults treating historical interpreters as entertainment objects rather than educators, what message does that send? How can we expect the next generation to value history and learning?" Marcus, who had remained silent while taking in the room and William's explanation, finally found his voice. "I understand now," he said. "I thought I was just having fun with a guy in a costume, but you're not just wearing a costume. You're preserving something important, and I interfered with that." The conversation that followed was unlike anything the friends had expected when William first demanded they accompany him. Instead of punishment or humiliation, they found themselves engaged in a genuine discussion about respect, education, and the value of preserving historical knowledge. William explained how budget cuts had reduced the number of historical interpreters at the castle, meaning each remaining employee had to work harder to provide quality experiences for increasing numbers of visitors. He described the challenge of maintaining authenticity while making history accessible to modern audiences who often had short attention spans and different expectations. As their conversation continued, the friends began to appreciate the complexity of William's work. He wasn't just an actor playing a role, he was an educator, researcher, and passionate advocate for historical preservation, all combined into one person. His reaction to Marcus's prank had been extreme, but it came from a place of genuine dedication to something he believed was important. When they finally emerged from the research room an hour later, the castle's security team was waiting for them. William spoke quietly with the security guards, explaining that the situation had been resolved through education rather than punishment. The friends were surprised to learn that William had the authority to make such decisions, another indication of how seriously the castle administration took his work. As they prepared to leave the castle, William offered them a final piece of advice. "Next time you visit a historical site," he said, "remember that the people working there are trying to give you something valuable. Treat them and the history they represent with the respect they deserve." Marcus shook William's hand, apologizing once more before the group made their way back to the main entrance. As they walked through the courtyard where the incident had begun, they noticed other costumed interpreters presenting to small groups of tourists. The friends found themselves listening more carefully, asking respectful questions, and genuinely engaging with the historical information being shared. The incident at Warwick Castle became a story the friends would tell for years afterward, but not in the way Marcus had originally intended. Instead of a funny tale about pranking a costumed employee, it became a lesson about respect, education, and the unexpected depth that can lie behind what appears to be simple entertainment. They learned that sometimes the most important experiences come from moments when our thoughtless actions are challenged by people who care deeply about something we had never considered important.